Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Chasing the Cup. I'm your host Will England, and in this episode, I'm going to be reviewing the races from the Charlotte Roval. I'll also go over the news, and I'm going to preview this weekend's races at Las Vegas. But first, let's take a look at the results from the Charlotte Roval. Christopher Bell in clutch gets his second win of the season and wins to advance into the round of 8, followed by Kevin Harvick in second. Kyle Busch finishes third. AJ Allmendinger finishes 4th. Justin Haley finishes 5th. Chris Buescher finishes 6th. Bubba Wallace finishes 7th. Tyler Reddick finishes 8th. Chase Briscoe finishes 9th. And Austin Dillon rounds out the top 10. And so, I have to say that this race was very underwhelming for the most part. It got way too spread out. There was still some action going on, but it got too spread out. And it looked like Chase Elliott was going to win until that caution came out. With only a handful of laps to go, and they had a restart with, I believe, 3 laps to go, and then chaos ensued, and so it got pretty messy toward the end. And after the chaotic final restarts at the Roval, here's how the playoffs stand. Chase Elliott is still the number 1 seed with 31 points above the cut line. Joey Logano's in second with 11 points above, Dennis Chastain with 6 points above, and then Bell is the last one above the cut line with 3 points above. Ryan Blaney is 3 points below, and he's tied with Byron 3 points below. Blaney, I believe, has the tiebreaker. Denny Hamlin is 5 points below, and Chase Briscoe is 9 points below. So all drivers are within the margin of error. If they don't have any collapses, it's going to be close. So according to how these next few weeks go, we could see the playoff standings get shaken up, especially if someone below the cut line like a Ryan Blaney, a William Byron, or a Denny Hamlin, or a Chase Briscoe win. And with that, the 4 drivers that were eliminated were Kyle Larson after he had some issues after smacking the wall, and then Chase Briscoe was able to charge in the closing laps and make up the time. Daniel Suarez struggled all day after losing his power steering, so he had to try to manhandle that car. And also, it doesn't help when you're getting into it with a lapper. Austin Cindric also comes up short after getting turned in those final restarts, and Tyler Reddick was a no-show. And so overall, this race was very lackluster throughout the majority of the race, and the closing laps almost saved it if it wasn't too chaotic, because they were just driving like clowns, because they were trying to get all the positions they needed. Next up for the Xfinity race, AJ Allmendinger wins from the pole and gets his 4th straight Roval win, followed by Ty Gibbs in second. Noah Gragson comes up from 37th to finish 3rd. James Stevenson finishes 4th. Justin Allgaier finishes 5th. Alex LeBay finishes 6th. Brandon Jones finishes 7th. Josh Berry finishes 8th. Ryan Sieg finishes 9th. And Landon Castle rounds out the top 10. And unlike the Cup race, this race was pretty good. There was plenty of action going on throughout the race. It wasn't as spread out as Cup was. And Xfinity put on a good show. It was a great race. And what was it? Better than the Cup? Yeah. And I want to give a shout out to Stephen Parsons. He was up there competing for a top 5 until he got turned. But man, he was faster in that race. That's probably the best we've seen a Parsons run in years. Whatever he and that 45 team have found, they have done really well with it, because they've had some good finishes in the past few weeks, and it almost led to even more success at the Charlotte Roval until he got turned by Landon Castle. And after the Charlotte Roval race, here's how the Xfinity playoffs stand. Noah Gragson is 34 points above the cut line. He is the number 1 seed. AJ Allmendinger is second with 22 points above the cut line. Ty Gibbs is 16 above. Allgaier is 11 above. Berry is 11 points below. Hill is 15 points below. Jones is 22 points below. And Mayer's 28 points below. So a lot of the drivers below the cut line are pretty distant from pointing their way in. So some of them may have to win to get in. And so overall, an up and down weekend for the Charlotte Roval. The Xfinity race was pretty good, but the next day it dropped down for Cup for having a lackluster race and then a wreckfest toward the end. And so with that out of the way, let's get to the news. And starting off, I have some news that broke today and has been reported that Tyler Reddick has been released early from his contract, according to Lee Spencer. So it is believed that 2311 has bought out Reddick's contract, and I'm guessing this is probably because that Kurt Busch may have decided to retire. retire. I think Kurt Busch might be done. I think that head injury may have been too much for him. Unless Kurt's planning to do a part-time gig, but it seems like that Kurt Busch might have retired. And now Tyler Reddick's contract has been bought out to replace him. So that's going to be expensive for Denny and Michael. So I guess now, who's going to take that third RCR car? Well, honestly, I think RCR might just scrub that plan if Reddick's not coming back. But who knows? SRS Distribution will be sponsoring AJ Allmendinger at Las Vegas. And there's an update on Dodge's talks to re-enter NASCAR. Apparently, these talks have stalled according to Adam Stern and to David Land. So it sounds like that a fourth OEM may not be coming into NASCAR just yet, because apparently Dodge said that they were focused on NHRA. Some people speculated that it was because that they want to move to electric vehicles and hybrids, but NHRA is not that. The NHRA is not an electric series. They probably have the biggest internal combustion engines of any racing vehicle. So I have no idea why these talks have stalled, besides Dodge saying that they want to focus on the NHRA. And it looks like if we're going to have an OEM, it looks like it will not be Dodge in the near future. But we'll see what happens in the future, because they may reverse their decision and come back, or maybe a fourth OEM will come in. There's plenty of options out there, but we'll have to see. NASCAR is going to look at the final lap incident with Cole Custer, because apparently in those closing laps, Cole Custer backed off a little bit. And some people are speculating that he lost all of those positions so that Chase Briscoe could make it in over Larson. So we'll see how this turns out. They'll probably announce it either later today or tomorrow. NASCAR will be meeting weekly with drivers after some backlash that came last week when it came to the TV rights negotiations, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Andy Petrie has received the Smokey Yunick Award. Daniel Hemrick will be returning to Kaulig Racing in 2023. On Saturday, NASCAR met for 75 minutes on Saturday, where apparently there was some heated conversations about the safety of the next-gen car, as well as some talks about the next TV contract. And when NASCAR presented the results of a recent crash test, the drivers seemed to be pretty happy about it. And it sounds like NASCAR knows about these concerns, and now that they've done another crash test, they're going to make some changes for the 2023 season. AM Racing will be fielding Xfinity and Truck teams in 2023. And an update on the William Byron penalty. The points penalty has been rescinded, but the fine still stands and it has doubled as a replacement for the 25 points. HP will be joining Hendrick Motorsports as a corporate sponsor. And finally, DGR is expected to return to the Toyota Racing family to replace KBM as the lead Toyota team. This will be the first time since 2018 that DGR has fielded a Toyota entry. And when it comes to the lineup, it has been reported that Tanner Gray will stay, Taylor Gray will be moved up full-time, Corey Hine will go full-time, and then they'll have a fourth entry for TRD prospects, as well as some cup drivers. And that leaves out Haley Deegan. It's expected that she will not return to David Gilliland Racing next season with this, so that means either Haley Deegan is going to run Xfinity full-time next year, or she may run for another 4-team in trucks next year. Like say Front Row opens up a second team for her. But we'll have to see how that goes. But right now Haley's still working on those contracts, so we'll see. And so that's it for this week's news. Now it's time to preview this weekend's races at Las Vegas. Starting off with the Xfinity race, we have the Alsco Uniforms 302. The race will be 201 laps and 302 miles. And the race will be on October 15th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And also a reminder that this will be Haley Deegan's first race in the Xfinity Series. And so for my pick, I'm going to go with Noah Gragson. Noah Gragson has been so dominant this year, and this will be his hometown track, so I think he'll have a hometown advantage. I think he will win at Las Vegas. And finally for the Cup race, we have the South Point 400. The race will be 267 laps and 400.5 miles. And the race will be on October 16th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So let's take a look at the weather for the Cup race. On Sunday, it'll be mostly sunny and very warm, with a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon, with a high of 92 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds will be east to northeast at around 7 miles per hour, and a 40% chance of rain. And so it looks like there may be some rain in the afternoon, possibly around race time, so expect possibly a delay, and pray to God that NBC will not boot the race to cable. And so for my pick, I'm going to go with Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain showed plenty of speed during the spring with that Dolly Parton car, and I think this time, he will be even faster now that he's won 2 races, and I think he'll be the first driver that'll walk himself into the championship floor by winning at Las Vegas. And so that's it for this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe for more. If you're going out to Las Vegas this weekend, I hope you have a good time. If you're not, have a good time wherever you are, and I'll see you next week.